Most people think of childhood trauma as an event, something with a date attached. But there's a form of damage that leaves no visible mark, no clear memory to point to, and no language to explain it, because it's built entirely from absences. Nobody came when you cried. Nobody noticed when something was wrong. Not out of cruelty, just absence. And that absence shaped everything. Here's how it works at the root level. Children don't just need food and shelter. They need to be reflected. To have a caregiver look at them and essentially say, without words, I see you. What you feel is real. That reflection is how children learn their own inner world exists. When it's consistently missing, they don't blame the adult. They blame the signal. They conclude they weren't worth responding to. That conclusion doesn't stay in childhood. It follows them everywhere. Psychologists call this childhood emotional neglect. And unlike most forms of early pain, it's defined not by what happened, but by what consistently didn't. That's precisely why it stayed understudied for so long. You can't point to it. You can't explain it without feeling like you're exaggerating. But the effects are measurable. Research links it directly to alexithymia, a clinical difficulty identifying and describing your own emotions. Studies across 25 separate research papers confirm that adults who experienced emotional neglect struggle significantly with emotional regulation. The wound that's hardest to see turns out to be one of the hardest to recover from. What does this actually look like in a person? Usually, someone who functions well on the surface, competent, self-sufficient, the one everyone assumes is fine. Because being fine was the first coping skill they ever learned, they deflect compliments instinctively. Genuine intimacy feels threatening rather than safe. Consistent love feels like something they're waiting to lose. They stopped needing people, or so it seemed. Really, the need went underground. Needs don't disappear. They just stop making noise when noise stops working. Here's the thing worth holding on to. Every survival strategy you developed made complete sense for the situation you were in. Going quiet, being the funny one, becoming the caretaker. Those weren't flaws, they were solutions, remarkably smart ones. The problem is that we don't automatically retire a coping mechanism once we outgrow the circumstance that created it, but the brain can change. Healing here isn't dramatic, it's incremental. It starts with something almost embarrassingly small, noticing what you feel, and not immediately talking yourself out of it. Letting it exist for a moment. For someone who was never taught their inner world mattered, learning to listen to it is the whole work. The sound was always worth echoing. You just needed a different room.